If you follow our channel, you should have recently seen me wax lyrical about the 991 Gen 2 Porsche GT3 RS, until Jonty being Jonty said that 500 brake horsepower just wasn't enough and top trumped me with a McLaren 675 LT. Well, today I raise him again with a car that should have almost everything we love about the GT3 RS, but with 700 brake horsepower. Now of course Jonty will be along before you know it to once again explain why I've brought the wrong car with the new kid on the track focused supercar block from AMG. These two are almost inseparable on paper, so I'm super keen to see how the AMG stacks up against the now retired King of the Ring. First up, the GT2 RS. It's the daddy of 911s, it's the most powerful 911 ever produced, and all that power goes through the rear wheels, which lands it with a bit of a threatening reputation. And we've chosen a British winter's day to drive it, so allow me to put on my big boy pants and let's get to it.
Now weirdly enough, a few days ago my phone threw up a memory telling me that it is 4 years since I last drove a GT2 RS. And despite that widowmaker reputation, the main thing I remember it for is being surprisingly approachable. It's the last thing you would expect with all that power going to the back wheels. But I'm thinking it was only a short drive, it was someone else's car, maybe I was a little bit of a pudding and didn't really explore its potential, shall we say. So in this video you're going to see all 4 seasons in about 10 minutes, but right now it's dry. See if we can really get up it, see if it lives up to that reputation. Now, if we just settle back down a bit, the first thing, if you turn the noise off, is this feels remarkably like a normal 911 if you just stick it in drive and poodle along. The ride's decent, it's far better than the ride in my M2, and you can cruise through town in auto, it's super smooth, and that's enough about that, so let's put it in noisy. Manual, PDK Sport, we don't need the suspension in firm mode because that's pretty much just for track. And straight off the bat, the gear shifts are so quick. And the car is so quick as well. As I said in the intro to this video, 700 horsepower all through the rear wheels. And it's just got so much more torque throughout the rev range than the 3RS with it being turbocharged. It's you can see my face. The thrust like makes you go, makes you pull this like, makes you grimace. On the downshifts, it's those cracks as well. It's not a tuneful sound like a GT3 RS, but God, it sounds angry, doesn't it? Now there's the surprising thing, second gear out of a corner, flat, it just goes. Those massive rear cup twos, they just dig in, no fuss, it's so intense and the way it thrusts you back in your seat and makes you pull a stupid face. But it doesn't want to send you off into that field there. Yeah, in the wet it's a different story. But it's 3.5 degrees right now. And I feel like within reason, I can bully this thing. It's so approachable, but at the same time it's so intense. You really can push this car. And the brakes, the ceramics. We've spoken about this before, they're the ceramics from the 3RS and they pull your face off and they will keep pulling your face off all day long if you're going around a track. Handling, well, that's pretty much GT3 RS, so absolutely incredible. The front end just feels so light and goes exactly where you want it to do. The steering's natural, it's not too darty, not artificially so anyway. The gearbox, yeah, is absolutely flawless, as I said, but I kind of wish it was a bit less flawless, a bit like Ferrari gives you a kick in the back. I wish there was a bit more of a punch from the upshift so it wasn't quite so seamless. I think that would really go with that brute character of the car. The main difference between the way this handles and a 3RS handles is how much you got to concentrate, because everything's coming at you so quickly, because there's so much more power to manage, because you've got to be on the brakes harder. It takes more concentration. You are just laser focused driving this, and it makes it rewarding, whether it's got that sound or not. So whilst it's not a wild ride in the sense of like a 765 LT that's just trying to kill you from the back end the whole time, it's still a pretty intense experience. Yeah, it's pretty sketchy in the wet. And personally, as amazing as this is, I still go towards the sound of the 3RS. Because, yeah, there is only so fast you can go on a road. I do get it on a big track like Silverstone. If you love a GT3 RS but 520 brake somehow isn't enough for you, I cannot think of anything better than this. It is absolutely incredible. Now, the thing is, though, I'm not really sure the GT3 RS has a direct rival. It kind of stands on its own. This has got some competition. You've got Ferrari with the 488 Pista, you've got McLaren with the 765 LT, which is just an unhinged thing. And now the newest contender to the 700 brake plus turbocharged rear wheel drive track focus supercar club is Mercedes.
Since its first unveiling in 2015, the AMG GT Series cars have been steadily tweaked. And just when we thought we'd seen the last rendition in the form of the GTR Pro, they then unveiled this, the GT Black Series. According to AMG, the Black Series name represents the performance limit of a car where they cannot get anything else out of the components to make it any faster. The name may have first appeared on an SLK Roadster, but over time they've become more and more focused, and that idea of getting the most out of a car has certainly been put to the test with this one. It's got a lot more power than what the GTR Pro had, a full 145 brake horsepower more, and they've done that by delving inside that V8 engine and swapping the crank for a flat plane crank instead of a cross plane. That means it revs higher and produces all that extra power. It's actually got a full Golf GTI's worth more than the original AMG GT. The only problem is, it doesn't sound very nice. As in, it just doesn't sound like you would expect an AMG to sound. Since everything started going turbocharged, if you'd have come to me and said, what's the best sounding car out there on the market these days that's got a turbo, I would have instantly said an AMG. Any of them, really, that's got the V8 in it, like the GTR or a C63. But this, I've heard 4 pots sound better than this, even 3 pots. Our little Yaris has more of a tone to it than this. So it's not perfect, not by a long shot really. There's little things that niggle me about it, like the controls are all down here and you can't really reach them. They have tried to overcome it by putting some controls on the steering wheel so I can select what mode I want the car to be in. And then over on the left hand side of the wheel I can scroll through menus, but even then I'm still having to take my eyes off the road to see what I'm about to press. And if you catch them automatically, you might end up turning the traction control off by accident. Now it's on tyres that are as slick as the law allows, so if you come into a corner and you just squeeze on the throttle that little bit too much, you have to be quick to catch it. You can actually vary the traction control in this. It does catch you quite well if it's on, but I have had a few moments over the past 2 days where it has just decided to try and kill me. To be honest, it's really not very German. It's not as well set out inside and it's not that comfortable, but it is exciting. But maybe I'm nitpicking. I mean, this car is designed more for the track than on the road. And I have to say that does really show in how it's set up and how it handles. If there's any sort of imperfections in the road, you really feel them. Whereas the GT2 RS is meant to be probably more of a road car than a track car, this is definitely more track focused. And I think if you took them both to a track, this one would certainly make more sense. The whole setup of the car is really stiff. The steering could do with a little bit more feel to it, but it corners so flat. There is absolutely no body roll whatsoever in this car. I've not cornered in anything as flat like this ever. They have gone to town on the weight saving. This is down to just 1,500 kilograms. And they've done that by using lots of carbon fibre. And they've also done things like create carbon fibre engine mounts. I'd love to see those, but they're buried somewhere beneath this humongous bonnet that I've got stretching out in front of me. When you start hooking it up, and you get a little section of dry road, it starts to really make sense. That rear wing starts to create some real downforce, and that alone will produce up to 400 kilograms of downforce at 155 mile an hour. It produces so much downforce that they had to put in extra struts in the boot to stop it caving in, and it can be adjusted. You've got 3 different positions that you change manually, and if you want a little bit more downforce, you can press one of the buttons and extend the rear wing and also give you a nice little whistling noise. It's not quite what you'd expect from a German manufacturer. And the faster or slower you go, the more you can change the pitch. Might even start playing a little tune with it. ...730 brake horsepower nearly, going through the rear wheels when there's not necessarily any grip. This thing is fast, but on a road, it's just that little bit sketchy. And you know what? If I wasn't on a track, I think I'd take the Porsche. Did I just say that?
So the stats really don't tell the full story with these two, and they are very different beasts out on the road. One thing that's for sure is that the GT2 RS is everything you'd expect Porsche's top GT model to be, whereas the AMG is totally different to what we expected. You'd expect the Porsche to be brutally and clinically fast, and it is. The only thing that might surprise you is just how drivable this thing is, even when you strap on your lead boots. You'd expect an AMG to lack that precision, but make up for it with a snarling soundtrack and perhaps be more suited to road driving, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Don't get me wrong, with this level of performance, the GT Black Series is exciting and it's more of an event to be in than the Porsche. But it really is very firm and extreme all the time, some of the track text bordering on gimmicky, and perhaps more importantly, where's the noise? The flat plane crank irons out the V8 growl we've come to expect of AMGs, and the OPF filters have silenced what's left to the point where you heard Jonty compare it to our GR Yaris. The original AMG GTR is a great car, and it's great value as well, and because it sounds so naughty it gets under your skin. We wanted the Black Series to be like that car on steroids, and in a performance sense, it is, but in the way you want it to be, it isn't. That said, the level of grip in the dry is simply staggering, and Jonty reckons it would be even quicker around a track than the GT2 RS. Where the GT2 RS comes in is that it's a car you could use more of the time, because when you're done hammering round a track or hooning on your favourite road, it settles down into a perfectly comfortable and usable cruiser, and it's refreshing to have very few settings to tinker with as well. It just does what it does. But before you think the GT2 RS is taking a slam dunk victory, both of us said we'd still rather have a GT3 RS for driving on the road, where a screaming soundtrack's actually more important than 700 brake horsepower. On a track though, if you want to be flat out all the time, both of these make sense and both would be sensational. That's where the AMG's flaws on the road would turn into strengths and make it feel like more of a racing car. So, do we have a winner? Well, no, because it really depends on what you want. If you spend most of your time on track, the Black Series is the more extreme machine, and despite its lack of noise, that makes it feel like even more of an event and even more suited to that environment. But both of us do most of our driving on the road, so we would ultimately have the GT2 RS. Because whilst the Black Series feels a bit compromised on the road, the GT2 RS thrives on being driven hard in any environment and almost normalises having 700 horsepower under your right foot. Its chassis is just that good. What do you think? Is 700 horsepower too much for the road? Would you have either of these or something entirely different? Get involved in the comments and let us know.